Hello again, everybody. This is John Sullivan. You may also know me as Buffalo66, and you're listening to the Bet Like No One's Watching podcast. You may know me from my Twitter page at Buffalo Hold'em, and you can follow our podcast on Twitter at BLNowPod, or visit the website blnowpod.com. And I'm back after another hiatus. I was doing some traveling, taking care of some stuff, and also I'm doing some house sitting, so it's a chance to finally catch up. And if you happen to hear animal sounds during the podcast, that's just part of the deal today, because I'm on location, as they say. But now that I'm back, I'm going to talk about a little bit about the past month and what's coming up this month. And no DFS today, so if you're tuning in for that, I'm just going to talk about sports betting. Don't know how long we'll go, but let's just recap. This last week, or the first week of November, really hasn't started very well for me. I'm basically down in everything: NFL, college football, CFL, NHL. Everything started off pretty slow. I'm not going to rehash each bet from the week, but I'm going to talk about October as a month. Finished very well. Finished up significantly in football, NFL, and college football. CFL, I went 500 minus 0.08 units. And then I went 19, 26 and 1 in hockey. That was only down 1.17 unit. And then I dabbled in NBA, went 1 and 2 overall in NBA. But by my calculations, overall, if you had everything together, finished up 6.57 units for the month, which is good. Good. I take that every month. I think everybody else would too. Going back to this past week, I made an error. I did a horrible job handicapping CFL this week. A good example of why you shouldn't blindly tail anybody. But I made 2 overplays, and I was uninformed on the personnel that was being used in those games. It was the last week of the regular season, and both games I played were basically, for lack of a better term, exhibition games, because they had no bearing on the playoffs. In the Toronto-Winnipeg game, I wasn't aware that they were using backup kickers. And in the BC British Columbia game, I was not aware that Lule was starting over Johnson. So that cost me a couple units that I'm hope to get back. Going forward, the next 3 weeks of the last of CFL, they're all playoff weekends, so that will be the final, chance to get those units back. So hopefully I'll do well, and I've had good success in the past few years with CFL. But what's occupying most of my time is actually NHL, and interesting scenario. I've been concentrating a lot on totals. Haven't had much short-term success. This month has started out a little slow. 6 and 16, I think, for November going into tonight. This might just be variance, but I'm considering maybe hedging my totals a little bit and going with the 2-legged wager system that I've been using for point spreads in both NFL and NHL. And let me give you an example of 2 plays I made in the past week and how this could be applied. And I'm going to start with, I had an under 5.5 I played. And you can, with hockey totals, you can buy a different total at a different price. And it's pretty common. And the reason I like playing hockey is because I think the lines are pretty soft. And if you can, if you have a model that can decently handicap a total, I think there's a lot of value there. And so I played under 5.5 at plus 110. Now you could also buy under 5 at plus 239. So I took the under 5.5 and my wager won. The game ended 3-2. If I had taken the under 5, I would have pushed. But what I ask myself is, what was the better bet, or should I have bet both? Should I have split my unit up over both bets? Or should I have gone under 5 at plus 239, even though it doesn't cash as often? Is that the better wager? Is that the better value? And, there's a part of me that says that is the better value. And then a second example of a game I played Saturday was over 5 at plus 110. And then they also offered over 5.5 at plus 188. So I took the safer bet at 5. So in case it ended up being 3-2 game, it would have pushed. And the game ended up 4-3. So both bets would have easily won. And again, you ask yourself, hey, what is the better value there? Or should I play both? So even though the under 5.5 is more likely to win against the 5 might be the better value. So if I come across this situation in the future, I'm at least for the time being, I'm going to split my wager up between the two. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the arbitrage calculator to maximize my profit on if only one bet wins. So let me use that first example, under 5.5 at plus 110, under 5 at plus 239. If I punch those numbers into the arbitrage calculator, it's going to tell me to put like 62% on the first one and 38% on the second one. And then that would lock me in a profit of I think, 0.9 units it would lock me in a fixed unit on the fixed amount on the first wager, and then if they both won, I think it comes out to like 1.59 units total profit. So excuse my fuzzy math there, but you can, if you don't use the arbitrage calculator, you could do the same technique by going a half a unit on each, and it doesn't provide you as much profit if only the first wager wins, but it does provide you a total profit if both wagers win. But it's a simple way to do the math. You can say half on 5, half on 5.5, and it's a simple way to play that wager, and maybe to cut down on the variance. I've been really cold. 6-16 in NHL is, I think that's under 30%, and that's not going to cut it. The thing is, it's only going to take a couple of wagers to get over 33%, and I'd be back in black if I finish the month over 33%. So it's interesting. NHL, is not about wins or losses at all. It's really, just about profits, about getting up units, and I'll get better at. I think I'll get better at handicapping, as well as better at looking for the best value in the lines if I stick through it for an extended period of time. Now, the last couple of seasons, I always seem to start out strong, and then I usually have a swoon around December sometime, and I'm hoping not to go through that again, or maybe I'm having that swoon now, and I'll come back stronger in December. But I'm going to try to stick with NHL through the whole season and kind of grind a whole season and see how it goes. And I think it's a game that doesn't take a lot of time to handicap, and assuming that you know the personnel, you don't really have to watch the games. The scenarios are going to play out themselves. 5 is a key number. You know that if a game's 2-2, you're going to free roll on an over 5. So you know the percentages of an empty net goal being scored. So all those things are in play. It's if you're a math kind of guy, if you're into numbers like I am, it's pretty easy to figure out what the plays are going to be. It's just a matter of making the right wager, and I'm hoping to improve in that area. So NHL is going to occupy most of our time. We still got college until the bowl games start. I'm probably going to skip the bowl games and just work on the playoffs. And NFL is going to go all the way through, but that's really only on the weekends. So what is going to start in the next week or so is college basketball. And I'm very excited for college basketball because that's been very profitable for me. And just like with the NHL, I spend most of my time with college basketball on totals. And one of the things that you encounter with totals in college hoops is that limits are pretty low, especially on openers. And so on a typical night game, the total might come out at 10 o'clock in the morning, but I might not make a play until 1 or 2 in the afternoon for, say, a 7 o'clock at night game because of the limits on the totals. Now, it depends where you bet. I would assume that you could get down at least anywhere from $1,500 to $5,000 on a total near game time. I don't bet anywhere near that amount, but I would think, even at 2 or 3 in the afternoon, you should be able to get, $500 to $1,500 down on a total. So, that's something that you have to consider. It's nice to be able to hit the openers and, get the best, sometimes the best number or an unrealistically good number. But if you want to bet them with any significance, you kind of have to wait till later in the afternoon. Another thing about early season college basketball is that there's a lot of what I call lopsided matchups, or some people might call them cupcake games, where a big program, like your Duke or your Michigan or your Syracuse or whoever, will schedule a very weak program, or to come in and play a game, and there's going to be a huge spread. The spread will be 20 points or whatever. And in the past, I would like to take these games and I would parlay them. I'd take 2 or 3 of them in a night and parlay them on the money line. Duke might be a 15-point favorite, but they might be minus 300, minus 500 on the money line. And I would just take 3 of those and parlay them together. And but the books have kind of gotten stingy on those parlay odds, and they're reduced now. And it's very unlikely that I will do that going forward, but I would recommend looking into that if you are going to bet, see if your out offers decent parlay odds. If you can get 2 or 3 games like that and play them together and get a decent, plus something, plus 150, I usually look for somewhere in that range. I think that's a value. So that's an unlikely play for me. So I don't mind. It's the same with college football and college basketball. If somebody's playing a cupcake game and it's a big spread at home, I don't mind laying that 15 points. There's a lot of garbage time issue there. The walk-ons come on if they can hold the spread, not lose it. Usually I think teams early in the season can hold those. But so I may look for some large spreads early in the first month of the season, but usually not after that. Conference play starts in January, but what happens between now and then is holiday tournaments, and a lot of the big programs will end up playing each other early in the season in these Hawaii tournaments, Alaska tournaments, preseason NIT, they call it. Anyway, they play, these programs play each other, a lot of TV matchups, and you find a great opportunity for what I call live dogs, teams that have a chance to win. They're not considered preseason tournament favorites, and they're playing on a neutral court, and it's a great opportunity, especially if you have a superior coach going against a coach maybe with a new program, to get a nice 200 plus 300 dog to win outright, or even, get a bunch of points for an easy cover on that neutral court, So these are different opportunities you have in the early part of college basketball season, to get up a bunch of units before the grind of the conference play starts. And then you have to look at those, home and away issues with conference games and how competitive balances each conference is. And, it gets a little tougher to handicap. But college basketball is good because you can get numbers to model really quick, fairly quickly. And it's great for totals. It's pretty easy. Once you watch a few weeks of college basketball, you definitely get the flow of the totals. With a new shot clock this year, it's being reduced from 35 to 30 seconds. You're going to get an idea of how a team is shooting and what kind of numbers they're going to put up assuming a game doesn't go to overtime. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to stick with NFL, play out the rest of my football. And this is it for the episode. It's a little short today, but I'm excited to be back, hoping to make up some ground this month. So for those of you playing along with your own sports betting, keep your head in the grind and enjoy the games. Until next time, bet like no one's watching.